You know, it's crazy how one race from over a decade ago is still shaking Formula One today. But if you followed that unforgettable 2008 season, you'll remember exactly why Felipe Massa still feels robbed. Picture it: the Singapore Grand Prix, Formula One's first ever night race. Massa was leading comfortably, Ferrari looked unbeatable, and the championship was in his hands. Then, on lap 14, everything changed. Nelson Piquet Jr. hit the wall at turn 17 in what looked like a dramatic accident at the Ecclestone time. But as we now know, it wasn't an accident at all. That crash was deliberate, ordered by his Renault team to bring out a safety car and help Fernando Alonso, who'd just pitted moments before. The safety car flipped the entire race on its head. For Massa, the timing couldn't have been worse. He had to pit immediately, and in the rush, Ferrari made a huge mistake, releasing him with the fuel hose still attached to the car. The chaos cost him everything. He got a drive-through penalty and finished 13th out of the points. That one moment, that one race, is what Massa argues changed the course of history. Because when the season ended in Brazil, Hamilton clinched the championship by just a single point. A single point that could have belonged to Massa if the Singapore results had been annulled. And that's where this entire legal battle begins. It's not just about reliving the past, it's about whether justice can rewrite it. Massa's legal team says the Singapore race should never have counted because it was manipulated from the inside. They argue that the results should have been cancelled, which would have handed Massa the title, but the FIA never annulled it. Instead, they cited the long-standing rule that once the season is over and the trophies are handed out, the results are final. That one rule, finality, is now under fire in court. Now, think about that for a second. If this case succeeds, it could mean Formula One's most sacred principle, that championships can't be changed after the fact, might actually be broken. And that's why every fan is paying attention right now. Because we're not just talking about a lost title, we're talking about rewriting F1 history. Let me ask you something. Do you think it's fair to reopen a season this far in the past if it's proven that one race was manipulated? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments, because this is one of those moments that could divide F1 fans completely. And hey, if you love stories like this, moments that truly define the sport, make sure to subscribe to Fast News F1 and hit the notification bell. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers, and your support really helps us keep covering the biggest stories in Formula One. Now that we've set the stage for why Massa believes the 2008 championship was stolen, let's get into the legal side, what his lawsuit is actually demanding, and why it could change how F1 handles controversies forever. So, let's break down exactly what Felipe Massa is fighting for. Because this isn't just a symbolic complaint or a what-if argument. This is a real, high-stakes legal battle that could reshape Formula One's history books. Massa's legal team filed their claim in the London High Court, targeting the FIA, Formula One management, and Bernie Ecclestone himself. And get this, they're seeking somewhere between $64 and $82 million in damages. But the money isn't really the point. What Massa wants more than anything is recognition that the 2008 championship was unfairly decided. The heart of Massa's argument is that the sports leadership, the FIA, FOM, and key officials knew about the Renault Crashgate scandal before the 2008 season ended, but chose to keep it quiet. According to his lawyers, that silence was a breach of duty and a violation of the FIA's own rules, which require immediate investigation of serious sporting incidents. By not acting, they say the governing bodies failed every driver on the grid, especially Massa, who paid the ultimate price. In plain English, the lawsuit claims F1's leaders knew there was a manipulated race result and decided to cover it up to protect the sport's image. Now, here's what makes it complicated. The defendants, meaning F1, the FIA, and Ecclestone, are pushing back hard. Their lawyers argue the claim is time-barred. Basically, they're saying too much time has passed. Sports, just like law, have deadlines. Once a championship is finalized and the trophies handed out, the results are supposed to be untouchable. That's the foundation of their defense. The idea that you can't go back and rewrite history, no matter what new information comes up. They're warning that if this case moves forward, it could open the door for dozens of old results to be challenged, not just in F1, but across all professional sports. So this isn't just about Massa and Hamilton anymore. It's about whether the courts can ever undo a championship after it's declared final. And that's why this case is being watched so closely. On one side, you have Massa's team saying, rules were broken, evidence was hidden, and the system failed. On the other, F1's lawyers are saying, if we break the principle of finality, the entire sport becomes unstable. It's a legal and ethical tug-of-war that puts F1's credibility right in the middle. Let me ask you, if a sport discovers a cover-up years later, should it be allowed to change the results? Or should the past stay untouched? Tell me what you think in the comments. I want to see how fans really feel about this one. And if you want to stay updated on every twist of this case, every hearing, every new statement, every ruling, make sure you're subscribed to Fast News F1 and hit that notification bell. We'll be covering every development as it happens, and your subscription helps us reach our goal of 2,000 fans in the community. Now that you know what Massa is asking for and what F1 is trying to stop, the next part of this story is where things get explosive. Because one interview in 2023 changed everything. It reignited the entire case, and it came straight from one of Formula One's most powerful figures. It's wild how one offhand comment in an interview can shake the foundation of a sport. But that's exactly what happened in 2023 when Bernie Ecclestone, the former boss of Formula One, admitted something that turned Felipe Massa's quiet frustration into a full-blown legal storm. During an interview, Ecclestone casually revealed that he and then FIA President Max Mosley knew about the deliberate crash in Singapore while the 2008 season was still going on. According to him, they decided not to act because they didn't want to damage the sport. That one confession gave Massa's lawyers exactly what they needed: fresh evidence that F1's leadership had knowingly concealed the truth at the time. Think about that for a moment. The entire Crashgate scandal, one of the most infamous moments in F1 history, officially came to light in 2009 when Renault insiders finally admitted the crash was intentional. But if Bernie's comments are accurate, the sport's highest authorities already knew months earlier and chose silence. For Massa, that changes everything. His legal team jumped on those words, arguing that this revelation resets the clock, that it means the time limit for taking legal action should start from 2023, not 2008. They claim it proves a fraudulent concealment, basically a total cover-up that stopped justice from happening sooner. And it's not just Bernie's quote. Recent hearings in the London High Court have seen lawyers for both sides trading blows. Massa's team says this isn't about rewriting history. It's about exposing the truth and forcing accountability. They argue that because the FIA and FOM allegedly concealed critical information, the rule of finality shouldn't protect them. Meanwhile, the defendant's lawyers insist that Ecclestone's comments were just misremembered remarks, not legal evidence, and that the championship results remain legitimate. This is where it gets fascinating. During the 3-day hearing earlier this year, both legal teams went deep into the details: emails, regulations, and statements from the time. Massa's side argued that the FIA had breached its own rules by not investigating a manipulated race result. They say the crash cost him his championship and that the governing bodies owe him both compensation and recognition as the rightful 2008 world champion. The defense countered that the sport simply cannot function if results are revisited decades later, no matter what someone says in an interview. The judge didn't make an immediate decision. Instead, they reserved judgment. That means they're taking time to consider whether the case will move forward to a full trial or be dismissed entirely. Either way, that decision will be historic. Because if the case moves forward, the court could demand internal FIA and FOM documents from 2008 and 2009, emails, memos, communications, everything. And that could uncover details the public has never seen before. So here's a quick question for you. Do you think Bernie Ecclestone's admission was an honest slip-up or a deliberate move to stir things up again? Let me know your take in the comments. I really want to see what you think about that. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into one of F1's most dramatic legal battles, make sure you like the video and subscribe to Fast News F1. We're working hard to bring you the clearest updates as this story unfolds, and your support helps us reach our goal of 2,000 subscribers. Next, we're going to dig into the other side, what the FIA, FOM, and Bernie's defense really looks like behind closed doors, and what a full trial could mean for Formula One's future. Now, let's flip the coin and look at the other side, the defense. Because Formula One, the FIA, and Bernie Ecclestone aren't exactly sitting quietly while all this unfolds. Their lawyers have come out swinging, and their main message is simple. This case shouldn't even exist. They're arguing that it's too late, that there's a legal time limit for challenging championship results, and Massa missed it by more than a decade. To them, this isn't about fairness anymore. It's about protecting the very structure that keeps the sport stable. If every old result could be reopened, they say, the entire foundation of competition would crumble. Their defense leans heavily on what's known as the principle of finality. That's the rule that once a season is over and the prize-giving ceremony takes place, everything becomes official. No do-overs, no reversals, no second chances. It's what ensures that records stand, trophies stay won, and history doesn't change with every new revelation. They argue that allowing Massa's case to go forward would set a dangerous precedent, that it would open the floodgates for athletes in every sport to demand their results be revisited years later whenever something suspicious surfaces. Imagine if every controversial finish, every disputed decision, every scandal became a potential lawsuit. The sport would never move forward. But Massa's team isn't backing down. They insist this case is different. Not just a simple protest, but a challenge based on alleged fraud and concealment. They say the time limit shouldn't apply if there was a deliberate cover-up by those in power. And that's the tension at the heart of this fight. The defense wants to preserve the integrity of F1's timeline, while Massa's side says integrity means facing the truth, no matter how late it comes. If the court decides the case can proceed, things could get messy for Formula One's leadership. A full trial would mean internal FIA and FOM communications from 2008 and 2009 could become public. Emails, memos, everything. That could expose how decisions were made during Crashgate and whether anyone really knew about it before it became public. It's not hard to see why the defendants want the case dismissed now, before that door even opens. There's also the question of reputation. Even if F1 wins in court, this case already puts a spotlight on the sport's governance. It raises uncomfortable questions about transparency, accountability, and whether protecting the image of F1 has sometimes mattered more than protecting fairness. And for Bernie Ecclestone, whose words started this entire firestorm, the outcome could define his legacy. So, let's get your thoughts on this. If you were the judge, would you allow the case to go to trial or dismiss it right now? Tell me your verdict in the comments. And here's another question to think about. If the court forces the FIA to reveal internal documents, do you think that would help restore fans' trust in the sport or make things even worse? And don't forget, if you want to stay ahead of every twist and revelation, subscribe to Fast News F1 and hit the notification bell. We're building toward 2,000 subscribers, and every one of you helps keep these updates coming. Now, let's move on to the most crucial part of this entire saga. What happens next? The possible outcomes, the risks, and what it all means for Formula One's future and for Lewis Hamilton's first World Championship. So here we are, the point where everything hangs in the balance. Felipe Massa's fight against Formula One, the FIA, and Bernie Ecclestone has reached a critical moment. The judge has heard all the arguments, and now everyone is waiting for the decision. And that ruling will shape the future, not just for Massa, but for how the entire sport handles its history. There are three possible outcomes. The first is dismissal. If the judge agrees with F1's defense that too much time has passed, the case ends right here. Massa's long battle would be over, and the principle of finality would stand stronger than ever. That would protect the sport's records, but leave a lingering question in fans' minds. Did F1 choose stability over justice? The second outcome is a full trial, and that's where things could get explosive. A trial would open the door to witness testimony, document disclosure, and possibly new evidence that's never been seen before. Imagine the FIA and FOM having to release their internal emails, notes, and communications from 2008. That could reveal what was said behind closed doors after that infamous Singapore race. And if the court ultimately sided with Massa, it could force F1 to recognize him as the rightful 2008 world champion, or pay massive damages for the alleged cover-up. It would be a seismic shift in how the sport deals with its past, and a warning that nothing stays buried forever. Then there's the third possibility, a settlement. It's the quieter route, where both sides agree to close the case without a trial. Maybe Massa gets compensation, maybe F1 avoids further scrutiny, but the truth might stay locked away. It's the outcome that leaves everyone guessing and no one fully satisfied. No matter what happens, one thing's clear. This lawsuit has already made history. It's forcing Formula One to confront questions about fairness, transparency, and accountability that fans have been asking for years. Whether the case moves forward or not, the message is loud and clear. The sport's past isn't as untouchable as it once seemed. So, what do you think will happen next? Will the court shut this down? Will it go to trial? Or will both sides quietly settle behind the scenes? Drop your prediction in the comments. I want to see what F1 fans like you think the outcome will be. And if you want to be the first to know the result when the judge finally delivers that ruling, make sure you're subscribed to Fast News F1 and hit the notification bell. We're covering every update, every revelation, every quote, straight from the courtroom. Your subscription really helps us grow and reach our goal of 2,000 high-volume subscribers. And it ensures you'll never miss the biggest F1 stories as they break. This case could redefine the boundaries between sport and justice. And whether it's dismissed or goes to trial, it's already proven one thing: Formula One's history is never truly settled.